Okay, so yesterday I was working on a map for my Minecraft server themed around 1.21, and without needing to get into much unnecessary detail, for it I wanted to have a section in which I copied a little bit of an end city. And while I was doing it, I noticed something uh, weird that I hadn't noticed before. Now, I want you to look at the end city in Minecraft and tell me if you notice something strange. I'll give you a couple seconds. All right. So you may have noticed a couple things. First off, why is this city just not connected to anything like on the ground? Second, like it doesn't seem to have much structural integrity, but that's not a real life thing that like matters in Minecraft, right? The thing that I want you to take a look at is this very minor thing, this very minor detail, this banner. Uh, if you are familiar with game modding or uh, maybe Gmod, you may shut up, shut, shut, shut up. You may be familiar with this specific color scheme, and this color scheme is the missing texture color. It's pretty much exactly the same. If you were to, this is specifically referring to Minecraft, but that's like popular on other games as well. Uh, it seems to be pretty much an exact like cut on this diagonal over here. It seems like if you were to turn around, this is like pretty much exactly a missing texture image. Now, you may be wondering, why is this interesting? Like, why does this matter? Well, first of all, if I were to get a thing banner pattern and a loom, and let's get ourselves a banner and just a random die. Let's get the same die. You can see that this shape is pretty reminiscent of a dragon, like the tail, the head, and a little fire thing on top. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where the design comes from. But the city specifically chooses this design, which is a missing texture design. It's kind of like a banner, like a flag of breaking like the game. And I think, okay, this is kind of a coincidence. Like this isn't like this doesn't necessarily point to anything. It's just a little design that they made, and it kind of looks like a missing image, but like it's a very simple design. Like there's not much other stuff that relates like the end to like breaking the game, and that's where you're wrong. If you were to listen to the end, the song that plays on the end that is named after the end, you are going to listen to this. It begins with uh, this static thing, but then it starts playing Sweden, which it's kind of like there's a song called Minecraft on Minecraft Volume Alpha, but everyone like thinks of this as the main theme of Minecraft. Now, what is interesting about this is that, as far as I'm aware, and you're free to tell me otherwise, as far as I'm aware, this is the only time where a different song from the soundtrack is directly sampled elsewhere in the game. And I realize I'm not capturing the audio. One moment. I just set stuff up. And a here. That. This is, as far as I'm aware, the only time where another song from Minecraft is directly sampled on a different song, which is already kind of notable. But then this happens. The song breaks. Not only breaks, it glitches out into this like ambient, it's like dark ambient, how it's disappeared completely sounding soundscape, which I think is very, very notable. There, there have been, shall I say, reviews about what the game design around the Enderman is, and the idea is that the Enderman, they are trying to bring disarray to the other dimensions of Minecraft. That's why they keep stealing blocks and like placing them back in other places. They're like trying to bring this sort of like uh, endless chaos to it, and to have like this thing that serves as kind of like the theme of the overworld of Minecraft become like this broken noise, dark ambient thing. I think is a very notable thing. Okay, but that's not just everything. There is this there's this little bit of trivia about the, if I were to turn my shaders off, about the endstone texture, which is if I'm to spawn an Enderman and switch into, okay, I'm on peaceful, easy, and switch to spectator, and look at the ground, you're gonna see the like, save for those weird like shading things and the fact that it's slightly tinted, the end stone is pretty much exactly just a negative version of regular cobblestone. Now, why do I think like all this is interesting to bring up? Well, if you are to think of Minecraft as a building game, as a place where you make your own story, where you tell your own tale, it is very interesting to, if you want to make a sort of antagonist to it, or a sort of like countering force, to have it be this chaos and this state of being broken. And I think the end is a very interesting way to bring that. The end is kind of a place where, you know, the overworld is sort of like this analog to Earth, and then the Nether is like an analog to Hell, but the end is not really an analog to anything in particular. A lot of people have compared it to space and like the moon, but I think it's not as like it doesn't bring in the exact same vibe. It kind of feels just like this. You know, I say alien, which in a case like brings a sort of like outer space vibe to it, but I mean alien in kind of the same uh, the same vibe that Skulk is alien. It's like alien in a, this is like a wrong warped version of what what you're accustomed to. Another thing that I think it's worth bringing up is the end poem here. The end poem is a, if you were to see the end poem in kind of like how it works in the game, it's kind of weird. The end poem happens after you beat the Ender Dragon and you jump into the exit portal back into the overworld. And if you've never read it, either because you've never beaten the game or because you're the kind of player who just like presses escape and keeps playing, I do highly recommend you taking a look at it. Because one, it's a beautiful poem, and two, it kind of breaks the fourth wall in a very interesting way. Uh, like you can see at the very beginning, I see the player you mean, player name. This is a string that gets replaced by your name. Yes, take care. It has reached a higher level now. It can read our thoughts. That doesn't matter. It thinks we are part of the game. I like this player. It played well. It did not give up. It is reading our thoughts as though they were words on a screen. That is some very interesting phrasing, because it's not like the developers are talking to you. It's not like the characters in the game are talking to you. It's like it's kind of reminding, like doing that kind of classic reminder that like you are the universe experiencing itself. You are the universe looking back at itself. And I think for a for kind of this zone, like if you're to look at everything that I've shown it's kind of like a zone that willingly breaks everything you're accustomed to. The like kind of waves at the screen maybe, and it kind of serves as this, like this is the area where things break, like you are to enter inside a black hole or zoom into a quark, or like physics stops working. And I feel like this is a really nice symbol of it, like this banner. It's like things are broken. It's like a love letter to chaos and disarray. But now that I brought this up, and you may or may not like think that I'm talking out of my ass here. If you were to look at this and you were to ask, okay, so what are the implications of this? Like, why does this matter? What's the point? A lot of a lot of the community has been asking for an end update, uh, a way to bring more interesting stuff into this place. And a lot of people have made the argument that the end is meant to be barren. The end is really meant to be like this place with nothing in it, like an island that's like this sort of desert, dry place. And although I think that's an interesting reading of it, I think that looking at all this stuff brings a much more intriguing and much more interesting in regards to potential way of looking at this place. If the end is sort of like this place, like this tribute to disarray and chaos, and willingly breaking everything that like you assume to be true about the game, it would be very interesting to implement that into a potential end update. So, for example, you could have like pieces of structures that like aren't complete that you need to like wander around and like have this complete version of it. They could implement maybe a piece of redstone that is like kind of like Skulk in the sense that it works wirelessly, but kind of like quantum entanglement in which like two different pieces are always in the same state. You could like mess with the world generation to make like willingly break chunks apart. You could maybe implement a kind of biome to this or world generation that serves as a tribute to alpha world generation, to like have some very 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 rare biome that just like generates in this like ancient way that Minecraft used to work. This is a very interesting place for game design and world building and all sorts of things and like art direction, because it kind of works in this broken sense, and the developers can really play with this. Uh, you can like add enemies that are like kind of randomly generated within some like predefined bounds. You can have like changing and shaping models and and like a world that like morphs around you. It's something that I think is would be really interesting. Uh, the April Fool's updates are something that are very often used as kind of training wheels for stuff that is come to real updates. For example, in 2020, on the Infinite Dimensions snapshot, they built the groundwork for you to add your own custom dimensions through data packs. On the voting data pack, they allow you to change scale, which is something that was implemented in 1.20.5, to change item stack sizes, which is also implemented, to change world like biome colors. And this year's update, the Poisonous Potato update, added something that is very similar to the end in structure. It added the potato dimension, which is kind of like this other floating island kind of thing. And one of the things that I thought was very interesting on it was this. I believe was Powerful Potato. I missed the name now, which is this basically this crop that you put kind of like a chorus plant, a chorus fruit, and it just ate at the ground as you did that, and that is, I think, a great example of something that could work on an end update. Like this kind of place that you, this kind of like plant that you willingly put into the ground and then just starts consuming everything, kind of like Skulk, but less like, but more like digging and spreading physically instead of just covering, is something that I think could really work. Now, I am a very I am a very avid art director, and usually when I look at a Minecraft update, I look at art direction as like the basis of it. Like this is the point of view where I look at stuff, and uh, I'm really interested, and I'm very fascinated by the way that Minecraft does art direction. It's kind of like this game where it's very different from anything you've ever played, like Rocket League, for example. In the same way that Rocket League is kind of different from like any sports game you played, Minecraft is very different from any survival game you played. And when you look at something like the Nether update, you see a lot of this very alien, strange landscapes. You see like the Sosen Valley with the visible fossils and the guests coming in, and the like blue flames and the ground that's made up of like uh, quantified like physicalid, like physical souls. And if you think of like the basalt deltas, which yes, there are basalt deltas on Earth, but they're not like the ones that you see on the Nether. The whole thing about the Nether is that it really is this very hostile dimension, and the end kind of brings this whole other kind of liminal uh, alien calm, but in a sort of foreboding sense, like a post-apocalyptic place. And I think that's a very fertile ground for art design in the future. It's something that can really be worked on. I don't really like the way that most people envision an end update, which is like, let's put grass on endstone and make like some big forests with like some vines growing down. I think that Minecraft usually likes to make things like different. The same like, look at this chorus fruit. Like this isn't like a tree. This isn't like a, a root. It's kind of like a mix between piping uh, and like those potato roots. Even though I just said like, it's like another root, but like it doesn't grow into the ground. It goes like outside and up. It's a very weird looking thing. And I think the Mojang is most definitely cooking something for the end update. Uh, like you can't, like, again, I'm an art director, and you can't, as an art director, look at this place and not start just just drooling because of like all the potential that this has. It's like this is an all you can eat buffet for our direction, and most definitely Mojang is cooking something for the end update, and whatever it is, if I were to guess, it would be something that's intentionally like aesthetically broken, like again a liminal space or a sort of like homage to like glitches and stuff, and etc. etc. I wouldn't be surprised they're like broken variations of mobs and other things. But there's all speculation. I'm not Mojang. Nobody is Mojang, but I don't work at Mojang, and I am not like I'm not a liberty to say like what's gonna happen because I don't know what's gonna happen. But I just want to to leave my thoughts out there as someone who like really likes this game and really likes the vibe of this game, and someone who does their direction as a hobby and kind of as a job, to like maybe bring attention to like those interesting aspects of the end that are usually like kind of like more subtle and unnoticed, that like kind of in the background and just serve to fit this vibe, to like kind of put this into words and like put it out there, because I think that if ideas uh, ideas breathe life into new ideas, which breathe the life into new ideas, which kind of evolve and kind of bring on those very interesting things. Uh, I think this and the way that it is today is kind of an extension of what the end used to be, which was just like this one island floating in the sky. And we're like, okay, let's put some other islands floating in the sky. The end is kind of purple, so let's make this weird purple stuff. Like there is this song of from the end that is like broken, so let's add this like kind of like broken banner pattern. And this is something that like can really, can you place this? No, this like can really be built upon. And yeah, this is just all I want to say. It's like a very rambly thing. I didn't write anything down for this, but it's just something that I think is very interesting. If you have any thoughts on like what an end update could bring, or like if you disagree with me, or if you want to bring something else into attention, feel free to leave it in the comments. I don't get many comments, so I'll most likely read yours, and maybe I'll reply to it. I'll probably reply to it if it's something like there's a reply that I could reasonably give. So yeah, thanks for watching, and don't subscribe to the channel. I just post whatever garbage I can here. So you've been warned. If you're subscribed, you turn off notifications. Anyway, bye bye.